All right, so buckle up, everybody, because today we are diving deep into some geopolitical intrigue.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about Turkey's attempt to join the big leagues.
The power player club
Exactly.
that everybody wants to be a part of right now.
BRICS.
BRICS.
And the story gets even more interesting when you think about their relationship with Russia, especially with everything going on in Ukraine.
Well, yeah, I mean, Turkey is really walking this tightrope
Oh, absolutely.
between the East and the West, trying to kind of forge its own path
Yeah.
on the global stage. And I think the relationship with Russia is really the key
That's the linchpin.
to understanding what's going on here.
Yeah. And to unpack all of this, we have some great sources.
Oh, for sure.
The first is an analysis by this Russian analyst,
Okay.
Dr. Karim Haas, and he breaks down why Turkey's BRICS bid kind of hit a snag.
Uh-huh.
And then we're going to bring in a different perspective from the Economic Times
Right.
to see what other major players, especially India, think about Turkey's ambitions.
Multiple perspectives are crucial here,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Especially when we're dealing with a story that's this multifaceted.
Yeah.
Dr. Haas gives us that insider view
Yeah.
of what's happening within BRICS and the Turkey-Russia dynamic. And then the Economic Times provides this broader lens,
Yeah.
focusing on how other countries are perceiving all of this.
Okay, so to set the scene,
Right.
Turkey was really pushing for full BRICS membership.
Full membership.
But they only came away with this partner country status at the summit in Kazan.
Okay.
Now, Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand.
Uh-huh.
And 13 other nations also got this same partner country status. So that kind of tells you a little something about how exclusive this full membership really is.
It really did. It's like trying to get into a club
Yeah.
that's just undergone a massive expansion.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough.
It's a little chaotic.
Exactly.
So Dr. Haas points to three main reasons why Turkey didn't get that golden ticket.
Okay.
So first off,
Yeah.
BRICS is busy integrating 4 new members: Iran,
Mm-hmm.
UAE, Egypt, and Ethiopia.
Yeah. Talk about a full house.
It's like trying to squeeze into a packed elevator.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. The second reason is that China's kind of hesitant.
Okay.
They're a little bit wary of Turkey's economic situation.
Mm-hmm.
And, that might affect the BRICS Development Bank.
Right.
And then there's the whole issue of Turkey's stance on the Uyghur situation,
Yeah.
which, as you can imagine, isn't going over very well in Beijing.
So China's kind of weighing the pros and cons here, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, they want Turkey because of their strategic location.
For sure, for the Belt and Road.
The Belt and Road, yeah.
But then you have all this baggage.
But then you have all this baggage.
Yeah, that comes along with it.
And the economic risk.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But here's where I think things get really interesting.
Okay.
Dr. Haas suggests that the biggest roadblock for Turkey
Mm-hmm.
might actually be India.
Really?
And this comes down to some long-standing tensions
Yeah.
between the two countries.
Yeah. What kind of tensions are we talking about?
Well, first you have Turkey's close ties with Pakistan,
Okay.
which has always been a major point of contention between India and Pakistan.
Of course, yeah.
And then on top of that, you have this recent competition
Yeah.
between Turkey and India over supplying arms to Armenia.
Oh, wow.
So you can kind of see why India might be hesitant
Yeah.
to welcome Turkey into the BRICS fold.
Okay, but wait a second, though, because the Economic Times actually throws a wrench in this whole narrative.
Okay.
They reported that Turkey denied that India was opposing their BRICS partnership.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes you wonder what's really going on behind the scenes, doesn't it?
It really does. It shows just how complex the situation is.
Yeah.
We may never get the full picture of what actually happened.
Right.
But what is clear is that Turkey's BRICS ambitions are facing pushback.
Yeah.
And the dynamics between these countries are constantly evolving.
Okay, so we've got this backdrop of Turkey vying for a spot in BRICS.
Right.
But now let's shift gears a little bit and focus on this evolving relationship between Turkey and Russia.
Right.
Dr. Haas argues that before the war in Ukraine, this relationship was very much tilted in Russia's favor.
It was. And this imbalance was evident on multiple levels.
Okay.
Politically, militarily, and economically.
Okay, let's break that down.
So politically, Russia held considerable influence over Turkey.
Okay.
Militarily, there was a lot of collaboration
Uh-huh.
with Russia supplying Turkey with some pretty serious firepower.
Wow.
And economically, Turkey was quite dependent on Russia
Okay.
for both energy and trade.
So Russia was really calling the shots.
It seems that way.
Yeah.
And Turkey had very little wiggle room.
But then the war in Ukraine changed everything.
It did. The war created this scenario where Turkey suddenly had leverage.
It is.
It's really a classic example of how these global events
Yeah.
completely reshape dynamics between nations.
And what's an example of that shift?
Well, a prime example is how Turkey became this crucial transit point
Uh-huh.
for Russian fuel,
Oh, wow.
allowing them to bypass those Western sanctions.
Okay.
This gave Turkey a huge economic and geopolitical advantage.
It's like the student became the teacher.
That's a great way to put it.
So the power dynamic shifted.
It shifted, giving Turkey a chance to kind of assert themselves.
Okay.
However, Dr. Haz also notes that Turkey hasn't fully capitalized
Okay.
on this newfound leverage.
So they could have gotten more out of it?
Potentially.
Yeah.
They could have used this opportunity to secure better trade deals or push for more favorable political outcomes.
So it's not a complete role reversal?
Not quite, but it's definitely a more balanced playing field
For sure.
than before the war.
Yeah. And all of this is happening
Yes.
against the backdrop of some significant issues
Yeah.
that are impacting the relationship.
As Dr. Haz points out.
Okay, let's dive into those.
Let's do it.
You know we love getting into the nitty-gritty.
Always.
But first, a quick word from our sponsors.
We'll be right back.
Okay, so we're back.
Back and ready to dig into these
Yeah.
issues impacting this relationship.
These key issues shaping the Turkey-Russia relationship.
Yes.
All right, so where do we even begin?
Well, let's start with the elephant in the room. The trade situation.
Okay.
You know those sanctions that the G7 and the EU
Oh, yeah.
put on Russia after the invasion of Ukraine?
Right.
Well, Turkey decided to participate at least partially.
So even though they've benefited from this situation,
Yeah.
in other ways, they're not completely abandoning their Western allies.
No, they're trying to play both sides.
It's a delicate dance.
It really is, and that balancing act has a price tag.
Okay, how so?
Well, trade between Turkey and Russia has plummeted.
Give me the numbers.
We're talking a drop from $68 to $70 billion in 2022,
Wow.
down to $55.4 billion in 2023.
Oh, wow.
That's massive.
Yeah, that really drives home the point
It does.
about these sanctions and Turkey being in this precarious position,
It really does.
trying to please everybody.
Yeah.
But it gets even more complicated, right?
Oh, yeah. You remember that Financial Times report?
I think so.
The one that said Turkey blocked exports of like 40 categories
Okay.
of U.S. military tech to Russia,
I do remember that.
like components for weapon systems.
Oh, wow.
You know, stuff that has both civilian and military applications.
So they're trying to maintain that relationship,
Yeah,
but also making sure certain things
Yes.
don't end up in the wrong hands.
exactly. It's a delicate balance.
Talk about walking a tightrope.
You got it, but wait, there's more.
Okay, wait on me.
You remember that whole Nord Stream pipeline debacle?
Oh, yeah. How could I forget?
Well, Putin tried to use that
Uh-huh.
to his advantage,
Yeah.
and he proposed a new gas hub
Right.
to keep that Russian gas flowing into Europe.
And I remember everyone saw that.
Yeah?
In a way for him to
Oh, yeah.
bypass sanctions and tighten his grip
Absolutely.
on the energy supply.
Yep. And those concerns are still there.
Right.
You know that initial idea of like a physical gas storage site? That's kind of been put on hold.
Gah.
But now they're talking about an electronic trading platform.
Okay.
But even that's facing obstacles.
Why?
Because, you know, Europe and the U.S., they're wary
Yeah.
of anything that might give Russia more leverage.
So this gas hub project's kind of in limbo,
It is, yeah.
and Turkey's caught in the middle.
They're trying to figure out how to play this
Yeah.
very carefully.
And this leads us to this interesting twist.
Yes.
Russia's gas imports to Turkey have actually decreased.
Uh-huh.
But Turkey's been making deals with some big Western companies.
Oh, yeah. ExxonMobil,
Okay.
Shell Total, you name it.
They're signing LNG agreements left and right.
They are.
It's like they're not putting all their eggs in one basket anymore.
They're diversifying
Yeah.
their energy sources,
Exactly.
which makes them less reliant on Russia.
I mean, that's a pretty smart strategy.
It is, especially when you consider,
Yeah.
you know, that existing Turk Stream pipeline
Yeah.
that pumps gas into southeastern Europe. It already has a capacity of 31.5 billion cubic meters a year.
Wow.
So with these LNG agreements,
Yeah.
Turkey's in a much stronger position when it comes to energy negotiations with Russia.
They're not as dependent as they used to be.
Exactly.
Okay, so it sounds like Turkey's really playing this whole thing to their advantage.
It seems that way.
But let's not forget about the most sensitive issue.
Yeah,
Turkey's military support for Ukraine.
that's a big one.
This is where things get really interesting.
Is the ultimate balancing act, right?
Yeah.
Turkey's a NATO member, but they have these close ties with Russia.
Okay, so how are they navigating this?
Well, it's tricky,
I bet.
and it's definitely causing friction.
Okay.
Turkey's been providing Ukraine with military equipment,
Like what?
including those Kirpi armored vehicles
Yeah.
and ammunition.
Oh, wow.
And this is a major sticking point for Putin,
I can imagine.
especially since there have been reports of Turkish weaponry being used on Russian soil
Oh, no.
in the Kursk region.
So it's one thing to provide support defensively, but it's a whole other thing when your weapons are being used offensively.
It puts Turkey in a very difficult position.
Yeah.
They're trying to support their NATO allies
Right.
without completely alienating Russia.
But let's be real.
Yeah.
This is putting a lot of strain on the relationship.
It is. And all this tension was really palpable
Yeah.
at the BRICS summit.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone was talking about that anticipated face-to-face.
Right, between Putin and Erdogan.
Between Putin and Erdogan.
So that it never happened.
It didn't.
What was that about?
Well, officially it was a scheduling conflict. But let's be honest.
Yeah.
A lot of analysts see this as a sign
Yeah.
of the underlying tension.
So maybe a little cold shoulder from Putin?
Perhaps. But despite the frosty atmosphere,
Okay.
the meeting did have some positive outcomes.
Okay, like what?
Well, they announced that the Akuyu nuclear power plant is going to be up and running in 2025.
Oh, wow.
It's this huge joint project that's been in the works for years.
That's a big deal.
It is. They also made a point of highlighting
Okay.
that surge in Russian tourism to Turkey.
Oh, yeah. How much was it?
It's up 21% in 2023,
Wow.
reaching 6.3 million visitors.
So it's not all bad news.
No.
Even amidst the friction,
Right.
there are areas of cooperation
Absolutely.
and mutual benefit.
It's complicated.
Very complicated.
And Dr. Haas makes this fascinating prediction
Okay.
about what might happen next.
Right.
He believes that the situation in Syria
Okay.
is going to be a major factor.
In how the relationship unfolds.
Exactly.
Syria.
Yeah.
That never-ending conflict.
It pulls everyone in.
How does that tie into Turkey and Russia?
Well, both countries have a lot at stake in Syria.
Okay.
Russia is a key ally of the Syrian government,
Right.
while Turkey has been backing
Various rebel groups
different rebel groups
and conducting their own military operations.
in northern Syria.
And then you've got the whole Kurdish issue,
Oh, yes. The Kurds.
which complicates everything even more.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Turkey sees the Kurdish groups in Syria
Yeah.
as a threat,
A threat to their national security.
and they've been cracking down,
Yeah.
but Russia's been more supportive
At least strategically.
of the Kurds.
Yes.
So you have this potential powder keg
We do.
with Turkey and Russia backing different sides.
It's a recipe for disaster.
Where does Dr. Haas see this going?
Well, he thinks that Turkey's growing influence in northern Syria, including their efforts to kind of mend fences
Okay.
with some Kurdish groups,
Interesting.
that this is going to create more friction with Moscow.
So it could destabilize the whole region
Potentially.
and make the relationship between Turkey and Russia even more complicated. So it's something we need to watch very closely.
Definitely, because what happens in Syria
Yeah.
doesn't stay in Syria.
And this leads to that bigger question.
The big one.
What does the future hold?
For Turkey's ambitions within BRICS and their relationship with Russia.
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, you have Turkey's BRICS ambitions. You have their changing relationship with Russia.
Wow.
You have the war in Ukraine.
War.
The situation in Syria.
Syria.
It's a lot.
It really is.
It's enough to make your head spin.
It is. It's like trying to predict the weather.
Yeah.
There are so many variables.
But one thing's for sure.
What's that?
Turkey is a key player
Oh, absolutely.
in this global power game.
They are making moves.
Yeah.
They're navigating these relationships.
Trying to forge their own path.
It's fascinating to watch.
Yeah.
It really is a fascinating question, isn't it?
It is.
Will Turkey manage to kind of thread the needle here
Yeah.
and carve out a space for themselves
Yeah.
on the global stage?
Yeah. Or will they be forced to pick a side
Right.
with some pretty significant consequences?
Well, and it's interesting, too, because it's not just about Turkey and Russia.
No.
I mean, this whole thing reflects this much larger global power shift that's happening.
This changing dynamic
Exactly.
between East and West.
It's about BRICS. It's about the future of global power.
It's about who's on top.
Who's in, who's out.
Exactly.
I think it's a great case study in how individual countries are trying to adapt to this new reality.
To this multipolar world.
It's a multipolar world that's emerging.
That's emerging.
And, you know, Turkey's approach, this balancing act,
Right.
could be a blueprint for other countries
Oh, absolutely.
that are trying to figure out their place.
Okay, so let's zoom out for a second.
Okay?
What are the key takeaways from this deep dive?
Well, first of all, Turkey's quest to join BRICS
Yeah.
It's not over.
Okay.
But it's facing some hurdles.
Yeah.
Both internally.
Right.
And from some major players like China and India.
Yeah, it's tough to join these exclusive clubs.
It is.
And it's a good reminder that, economic partnerships often get tangled up in these power struggles.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The second big takeaway is that this relationship
between Turkey and Russia
is constantly changing.
Yeah.
The war in Ukraine has really upended things.
Given Turkey more leverage.
More leverage, but also creating these new challenges.
The tension.
It's this constant back and forth.
Yeah.
This delicate dance.
They're trying to keep everyone happy.
Exactly. And of course, we can't forget about Syria.
Oh, right. Syria.
A wild card in all of this.
It could throw everything off.
Both Turkey and Russia have a lot invested there.
Yeah.
And their support for opposing sides could lead to more instability.
Oh, so what happens in Syria doesn't stay in Syria.
No, it doesn't.
So it all boils down to this.
Yeah.
The future of Turkey's relationship with Russia and their role in BRICS. It's still uncertain.
It's very much up in the air.
Like trying to predict the weather.
Exactly.
So many variables.
So many factors at play.
But what's clear is that Turkey is a major player.
They are a force to be reckoned with.
And they're making some bold moves.
Trying to forge their own path.
Their story is a reflection of these global shifts.
Absolutely.
This rise of new power centers.
The challenge to the existing order.
This struggle for power in a multipolar world.
And the story's not over yet.
And that's what we love about these deep dives, right?
I know, I love it.
We get to explore these complex issues.
You get to dig deep.
Consider different perspectives.
It's all about critical thinking.
And make sense of this ever-changing world.
It really is.
To all our listeners out there, keep those thinking caps on.
Stay curious.
Stay engaged.
Keep exploring.
Because that's what the deep dive is all about.
Until next time.
Happy diving.